Probably go ahead and get started.
All right, we will. This is the agenda for Columbia Gateway Urban Renewal Agency Board, September 19th, 2023. The time is 5:57. And I'm going to call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Scott Baker,
Present.
Stacy Coburn,
Present.
Walter Denstedt,
Present.
Scott Hagee,
Here we go.
Darcy.
Scott Hagee is not here yet.
I'm here.
Oh, he's
You
there.
are.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Sorry, Darcy Long,
Here.
Tim McLaughlin.
And I'm here.
Jan Richardson is absent or absent. Janice Aldebar.
Here.
And Ben Ring is absent.
Would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, now we need to have an approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
I'll second.
And we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If hearing none, all in favor? Aye, or show of hand?
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
now we move on to approval of the minutes from August 15th. We've all had a chance to read through those. I'll need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a second. Did you get those two? All right. We have a motion on the floor. All in favor of this motion, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
we got that
Aye.
approved. We're moving on. Number 6. Public comment during this portion of the meeting. Anyone may speak on any subject that does not later appear on the agenda. 5 minutes per person will be allowed. Do we have anyone in the audience? Okay, we're getting a shaking of no. So we will now move on from public comment to actions. We have action item A, 7A, alley right-of-way dedication of Granada Block Alley to City of the Dalles. Do we have a staff report on this?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Dan Spots, EDO for the agency. This issue is to authorize the agency manager to execute dedication agreements and dedication deeds with the City of the Dalles for portions of an alley running parallel to East First Street and East 2nd Street between Court Street and Washington Street. I've characterized this as a housekeeping issue, frankly.
Yeah.
This goes back to 2014. There were and the old Granada block development when we needed to consolidate various parcels that failed to materialize. So we issued the staff at that time was directed to develop a dedication and development agreements with adjoining property owners. In the process, the vacated alley, it had been vacated originally as part of the Granada block development. Those portions of the alley were not dedicated back to the city. So it was an oversight back then. We've been working to clean that up since then. So a couple of the sections of the alley have gone back to the city, specifically the Granada and the Blue Building. However, there are still small portions of the alley that still belong to the agency. One of those is the recreation. So we want to work on that one tonight. 2 parcels adjoining the recreation that are now owned by Todd Carpenter. We're working to clean those up. And then finally, the agency owns and will continue to own a couple of parking lots. It's actually one parking lot on 2 parcels off of First Street. Those extend halfway into the alley. So we need to dedicate back to the city those half sections of alley so we can clean this up and reestablish long-term permanent public right-of-way. That is kind of a summary on this one. I would have deferred to Jonathan if I missed anything on that one.
Is this on now? Yeah. Thank you, Dan. Actually, no, I don't believe that that's entirely accurate, Dan. I don't believe that the Todd Carpenter and Carla McQuaid own any part of this alley. But there is a map and it's attached in your board packet on page 18 of 21. And these are the properties that we're talking about.
I would stand corrected on that matter, but I think the
Yeah.
key point of the dedication still holds.
Everything else you said was exactly right.
Thank you, sir. Further, any questions from the board?
Hearing no questions, do we have a motion?
I'll move to authorize the agency manager to execute dedication agreements and dedication deeds with the city of the Dalles to convey all agency-owned or controlled portions of the alley running parallel to East First Street and East Second Street between Court Street and Washington Street.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And
Peggy
do we
will
have any
second.
discussion or any questions? Hearing no questions or discussion, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Raise your
Aye.
hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's move on.
Thank you.
We're on to action 7B, Tony's Building demolition. A staff report on this.
Following up again, First Amendment to Public Improvement Agreement extending the period of Tony Building's demolition. So back in June, the agency authorized a demolition bid, awarded that bid to Connell Construction and Demolition, total of $422,355. The part of the process here has been an archaeological survey. There's been a new system that's been developed through the University of Oregon that has taken some time to roll out. We've had numerous interactions with SHPO and attempts, frankly, to contact SHPO, not always successful, that have delayed the process. And so we are asking for an extension for the demolition contract itself. I'd like to go over some numbers that we have here. First off, we had $750,000 budgeted for this. As mentioned, the award was $422,355. We also have a consulting services agreement with Stantec as part of this project. That's in the, what is that amount?
495,678, leaving a budget surplus.
73. Thank you, Josh. $73,323 on that one. So budget surplus. Thank you, Mr. Chair. $254,322. Of that, an additional $60,000 is coming off through Oregon Business Oregon, basically through a brownfield project. So we do have a good surplus coming off of this. We're looking for an extension of the contract to November 30th. And that would be coming up from basically October 30th, I believe, is when this was due to expire originally. So looking for a motion to extend to the end of November, if we may.
So it's
We are otherwise on track for that project to complete. Yeah, October 31st is the original completion date.
an additional 30 days, it looks like.
Beyond the 31st, yes, sir.
Yeah. Any questions?
It's unclear to me who the agency is that is difficult to contact and what their role is in this.
The Urban Renewal Agency itself. Oh,
You try to contact them and.
State Historic
Have trouble.
Preservation Office.
Right.
Yeah,
And
there's been some delay in
Are they
terms
done, or
of
are
the
they-
archaeological
We're
side
still
of that.
waiting for stuff from them.
I believe we do have a response on that now.
Yeah, I can comment on that a little bit. Yeah, it's a new curation process that the University of Oregon rolled out. University of Oregon assists with archaeological surveys and studies around the state, and they rolled it out July 1st, and they're still trying to figure it out a little bit. Our consultant has been in constant contact with them, as well as myself, checking in every single week. But I did receive confirmation today that they submitted everything to SHPO. So we should be good to go.
So
But
if
we had to, push it back, unfortunately, and
don't
delay
have
our
a lot of need to
contract.
contact them any longer, we can move forward then.
Hopefully not too much more. I'll push it off and that's why we have a $73,000 contract with the consultant. They can do that.
Other questions? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to extend the contract to November 30th.
You want to read the, There it is.
I will make a motion to authorize execution of the First Amendment to Public Improvement Agreement CGURA 2023-01 between Columbia Gateway Urban Renewal Agency and Connell Construction and Demolition Corporation for the Tony's Building property.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, hearing none. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that motion carries. Yes?
Board Member Hagee?
Scott. Mr. Scott Hagee.
Yes, sir.
Okay, did you vote in favor of that?
I did.
Okay, good. Yes. All right, that concludes all of the action items. Now we're moving to 8, staff comments, project updates. Turn it over to you, Joshua. Oh, I turn it over to you, Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you again for your patience as we started the meeting. I do have a few items. I'm going to go run through them quickly here. First off, on the 12th, we had a visit by the EPA administrator out of Seattle for the Brownfield project. She wanted to come down and check status on completion of the $600,000 grant we received about 3 years ago, we being the Brownfield Coalition. That's the city, the county, and the port. Most of those projects have been completed, but Terry wanted to see firsthand how we were doing. We have received or anticipate receiving a 1-year extension to that grant. That's to allow final wrap up of a few outstanding projects and also 2 new projects. We have budget for that. We just need the time to do it. One of those is to locate a tank we believe is beneath the parking lot adjacent to the Elks Lodge, the Neon Sign Museum. The other one is completion of a facilities assessment at Chenoweth Middle School. So this was a public event to raise awareness of the Brownfield program. We had about 20 people participating, had an hour-long presentation here, and then we walked through, visited the recreation, the Sigmund's building, the Blue building, the old Washington Hotel, I believe it was originally, and the recreation. And the project owners of those buildings were on hand to answer questions and to provide details on brownfields. Neon Sign Museum, many of you assume, I saw several, were at the announcement of the Jansen Beach Carousel, but that is a significant event for our community through Restore Oregon. So I'll be looking for continued progress on that one. Also speaks to the importance of brownfield, because if there is a tank under that parking lot, we want to find it and dispose of it. We're working on 4 different potential upper story residential projects. I won't go into the names right now since that would be on the public record and we don't have anything in writing yet in terms of the residential aspects, but I would like to keep you posted on those as we go forward. They're all downtown and all of them involve restoration of historic buildings, upper story residential that's been vacant for decades and decades. On the recreation building, you'll notice some black tar paper out there. That is the initial phase of stucco that's going to be on that building. Todd is on schedule with that, Todd Carpenter. A couple of months ago, back in May, and I believe the previous month, there were presentations to the board from the Mint regarding the Mint building on Freebridge. Those conversations are back actively taking place. We had a meeting yesterday. We have another one coming up in next week, I believe it is, to at your direction come back with a proposal, details on what exactly is being requested of the agency. And I think we're going to be able to have a scope for you. So working with several different parties, basically three key individuals on this thing. So be looking for that within, I hope, November. I'd like to promise October, but let's aim for November. We have an active incentive program, commercial application that's taking place. That's going to be replacing a very large column that is being undermined, the basis of it. And it's an iconic building. I won't name it, but look forward to giving you a wrap-up report on that one. Joy Sears with Oregon Parks and Recreation. SHPO is going to be in town on October 17th. She'll be touring the Sigmund's and 2 other historic buildings, looking for gaining her interest in potential grant applications through SHPO and then also through Main Street, coordinating these activities closely with Main Street so that we don't get in each other's way, but actually come up with cooperative grant strategies. Vertical housing tax credit, the vertical housing tax zone, we anticipate bringing some minor clarifications to City Council in October, probably on October 23rd. Some fine points regarding how the value is calculated, i.e. gross square foot instead of net square foot on a building, and also having to do with tax collections. Finally, in October, and I have a long planned vacation that ends on October 16th. I hope to be back in town on October 16th, travel gods allowing, which would allow me to be here on October 17th and start to lay out a series of they won't be work sessions, or work sessions within public meetings of the board, starting November, December, January, to talk about reviewing the urban renewal plan itself, updating it. Hasn't been updated in a number of years, looking at all the projects, objectives, goals, and where we want to go from here, particularly as we look to the clock ticking down for completion of the district itself. Also, a strategic discussion, relationship between the agency board and the district. Right now, if the district goes away, the board goes away, the agency goes away. Is that what we want? So a philosophical discussion basically on that. There'll be a lot more detail. Again, it's going to be probably a 3-month process to go into this in a lot of detail. I just hope to start that in October and go into a little bit more detail than I am right now. That's the end of my report. Questions?
Don, do you have any? All right, excellent. Then we,
I have a question.
yeah, go
Just
ahead.
about the grant program and how do we have more applications coming in? Are there no more applications coming in? Where are we at with, it's just interest in the community with the program?
Yeah, in terms of the incentive program, and absolutely. So we're basically hitting the streets and drumming up interest in it. So the projects that I'm talking about, 3 of those have not come to us. We've gone out to them and have been meeting with business owners, making them aware. Did you know about this program? Have you participated in the past? And so that's going to be ongoing. And so far, I haven't had anybody say, no, we're not interested.
Of course, yeah.
To the point that we want to be careful about budget. I want to overpromise here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But no, I am very encouraged when you bring together the incentive program, development funding agreement possibilities on some of these brownfields, upper story residential, the vertical housing tax credit, all of those come together. And then you look farther afield with Main Street grants and SHPO and whatever else might be out there.
Double,
there's
double and
interest.
triple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions here? How about Darcy, anything from your end? Questions?
No, no questions from my end. Thank you.
How about you, Scott? Okay, I'll just
He was
assume
in the
that's a no.
subway a minute ago.
Oh, okay, he ran to Subway. Okay,
No, in the
so that
metros.
that completes item number 9. We're going to convene into executive session. The Columbia Gateway Urban Renewal Agency Board will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602E, which allows the board to meet in executive session to deliberate with persons designated by it to negotiate real property transactions. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on or otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or anything said about these subjects during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. We expect to return in about 30 minutes. We'll just say that. All right.